This is our week 7 sits of the week. Cody, recap us here. What happened in week 6 yet again?
Well, yet again, I pick up another win in the sits. Chase, I mean, you're still doing better than me in the starts of the week. You've at least gotten me once in the sits of the week. But again, in this week, 59.24 Milo score, outbeating your 78.44. And I think we can really just point to a pretty easy one here. I took a chance with with the Browns defense going up against one of the perceived to be better 49ers offenses. And yes, it was a little bit due to injury. Obviously, Deebo Samuel, I got a little bit lucky there. Don't ever love getting a little bit of luck on the injuries, but whenever we're playing these games after the week, I think that Browns defense was going to shut down this team either way. They are truly the best in the league at the defense. They're very good. The Ramondre Stevenson did get me a little bit, but a Swift scoring for you and a Chris Olave and then a Jalen Waddle, that second wide receiver, really the difference in a Deebo Samuel to a Jalen Waddle in the second receiver spot. I think that was kind of the end of it there. Big win by me on this one, but honestly, if I didn't get that Browns game, might have had me.
Yep, they are good at the defense. Yeah, Kittle and Debo both getting, 1 point each. Like that's just smashing. That's a great call. I think the lowest was Pierce getting me 3 points. Otherwise, we had a lot of double digits on my side.
Mine as
Waddle
well.
scoring a tutty. Yeah, it is what it is. You know what? This is your show right now. I got the starts, you get the sits. So let's kick things off here with where we are going to be going for week 7 sits of the week. I will go first. Just to see if maybe I can have some sort of competitive advantage by going first. Likely not, because we've been rotating back and forth on this. So my quarterback sit of the week, I'm actually going to take, it's kind of limiting upside. There's lots of really good matchups here in this top 10. And this one's, there's gosh, like they're all like bottom defenses. Josh Allen has always played New England well, no matter the weather. So that one's not one I really want to sit. Geno Smith going up against Arizona. That defense is atrocious. That secondary is getting beaten to bricks. I'm actually going to kind of counterbalance what my starts was. I'm actually going to sit Jordan Love, not Jordan Love, Russell Wilson this week. So I'm going on the opposite side of my game there. Green Bay's played very well against the pass. Denver's offense has been pretty much atrocious, and it's going to be a check down game. I don't know. This Denver offense has just not been good. I mean, Denver as a whole has not been good. Offense has had its moments. I just don't know if this is the week that's going to happen. Rashawn Gary is going to be getting pressure on Russ. It's just going to cause some errant throws. Jair Alexander in the secondary. I just don't have a lot of hope for Russ to just go out and throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. It's going to be one of those like 1 touchdown, 2 pick type of games for Russ. And I'm just going to bank on those low end points there.
Yeah, I actually had in my notes, Russ was my second guy up. If you picked my first guy, I put in the notes basically this team has 1 week left before the trade deadline to either figure out if they want to play football or if they want to cash in on the season and they want to start planning their vacations in the off season and everything. We'll see how it goes, but that was going to be my narrative if I was going to take Russ Wilson. But I can't get into my second quarterback yet. Got to give a little bit of love out for my guys over
Yeah.
at South Harmon. Finally got the jersey in. Took a little bit longer than we thought, but paying up on a bet for Brock Purdy starting more games for the 49ers than Trey Lance. That one ended pretty quickly for us. So I got the jersey in a little bit quicker. Those guys over there are great. Have to give a shout out to them for paying up on some AMAs that I was definitely baiting them into. Hey, you all should double down on this one. So love those guys over there. Thank you so much for the jersey. We will go into the second one, though. You mentioned his name. Geno Smith is going to be my quarterback. There's a chance that this turns into a little bit of a rain game. Now, that forecast has dampened a little bit, so we'll see how that one goes. I'm not exactly sure that I want to be taking this Geno here, but we're on this week 7 bye, man, and there's not a lot of options to really be had. A lot of these guys that are more fringe are actually getting elevated up into this top 12, and honestly, I got a stat for you as well. All of these games across the entire week, there's only 2 games with an over-under of over 45 points. It is going to be a disgusting week. Just absolutely disgusting. There's weather all over the place too. 2 games with a 45 over-under in an entire Sunday to Monday slate. That's disgusting.
Gross. That's just gross. Gino was one, like he was on my list, just because they do like to run the ball, and so like you could see them taking away touchdowns, especially if it is a rain game. You can definitely see, I could see them winning this, but and maybe passing the ball down, getting the ball downfield with the passing game, but just not scoring touchdowns there. So I do not mind that one bit. I do think Gino is a solid pick. That was probably my second option here as well, just given what this top 12 looks like.
The one thing that I wrote down for him, he's QB 23 on the year, man. Like that is just bad. I know he's playing the Cardinals, but man, it's been bad up there in the Seattle Seahawks offense.
Yeah, he's had some rough games. It seems like the offense was starting to figure it out, but yeah, it has not been Geno Smith of 2023. I can say that much for sure. So yeah, don't mind that pick at all. So let's get here into the running backs. Now the sits here, this one, it feels like a given. I know the rain, and I get the weather, and I'm here for it. It's going to be a running game, and I know he scored double digit points. He got 18 points last week, and was more involved in both the running and passing game. Ramondre Stevenson, I'm just going to have to sit him. I'm just going to have to do it. I just don't feel great about it. And I know this Bills defense. We talked about it being banged up, and it is, but I just don't have faith in them getting the run game going to a point where he's going to be super effective. Like truly, he had 10 carries for 46 yards, and he got the touchdown last week, 5 catches, 24 yards. Like it's not like he was great last week. He just had, the PPR points and the touchdown. So I just don't think that is going to happen this week for New England against the Bills. So that's where I'm going to go. Sit of the week, just riding that one out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I have Zeke over in my starts of the week, so
Yeah.
I think it could be more of a Zeke game. But I do also have a fear that Ramondre could pop off against this. As I was saying, this defense is a little bit more banged up than they have
Yeah.
been in the past weeks. Whenever they've been really humming and going good, I did not have Ramondre on my list. You're giving me my first choice up, and you said you don't have faith in Ramondre anymore. Well, this team no longer has faith in any running back because they have resorted to putting Keyshawn Vaughn in and giving him touches. This running defense is god awful, and they're going up against the Atlanta Falcons top 3 defense against running backs in terms of fantasy points given
Yep.
up. I don't need to say anything more than that. Rashad White sucks. This running game sucks. Everything about the Tampa Bay behind the line of scrimmage sucks, except for
Sucks.
Baker Mayfield. And this Atlanta Falcons team is actually pretty decent at playing the game of football. Rashad White's easy one for me.
Yeah, I don't. He was definitely on my list as well. I picked out 3 just because I wasn't quite sure where I was going to fully go with this. But yeah, we're just going to keep riding Ramondre. I do like that pick as well. That's another one that, again, it just makes sense. It's like it's just not going to be a very good option or an opportunity for him. I'm going to go with another, I guess, super inefficient running back. However, he is getting volume, which is a little bit scary. So I'm hoping the volume kind of tapers back, and or he's just equally inefficient against the San Francisco 49ers team. And I'm thinking, Alexander Madison. When you go up against the Bears and you get 18 carries for 44 yards, 2.4 yards per carry. That's not pretty. I mean, he did get some catches, a good involvement in the pass game. He did get 4 for 28, so it wasn't like awful. He got saved there by the PPR points. But in the end, single digit points is what I'm looking for here. And I think this is going to be a single digit point week, as the 49ers are just a very good football team. They're going to be a little bit bitter of how they lost last week, and they're going to come out and, lay down the law against the Vikings.
I think that was going to happen as well. Definitely a short list for me would have been my second one, actually. Rashad White and Alexander Madison, just a really quick sidetrack. I am glad neither of us were in on that hype train. Those two hype trains of,
We
oh, they're
were
just going to get
so out on
just
that.
going to get so much volume. And it's like, yeah, but they're also probably going to rush the ball for like 3 yards a carry. And they might not even be doing that right now. And they're trying to resort to anything to find any semblance of rushing game in both those offenses right now.
I got
I mean,
roasted so hard for trading Rashad White for 2 seconds. One was like the 201, and then it was like the 201 and a 24-second. I got roasted so hard. I get DMs. Why would you do that? Like, Rashad White's the guy. Why he's worth at least the first. I'm like I know what he is. Like, and if I could have gotten a first, I would have done it. But I just wanted him off my team. I'm taking the 201 and I'm running 201 in a 24-second. I'm out. I was done. And
easy.
yep. And now look what's happening. He's replaceable. He was worse than Leonard Fournette last year. Now we're seeing it. Bottom line.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
You give me the choice for my second running back. I've got 2 left on the list here, obviously, because I have to pick 4. Um, Man, I don't know where I'm going to go with this one. I'm between two. There's one that's more narrative based, and I probably shouldn't go there. So both of them are narrative based. I think we actually got some decent running backs within the top 24 this week.
We do.
I'm gonna go with another guy that I've hated, and it seems like his own team hates him, even though everybody else in the fantasy space loves him. I'm gonna go against the other side of the ball of is Viri Mondre Stevenson. I'm gonna go with James Cook as
Love
my
it.
sit of the week because while he is an efficient runner, he does a lot of things very poorly, and one of those things is blocking for his quarterback Josh Allen, who's a franchise multi hundreds of millionaire dollar quarterback, an asset for this team, and he gets him obliterated anytime he's on the field in the backfield on an actual like blitz call on third down or anything. And that's why Latavius Murray is in the game and being used
Yep.
heavily in here. That's why they were trying to bring in another pass protector in Leonard Fournette before they told him like no, or he told them no. Don't exactly know what happened there.
Don't
Whatever the
either.
case, they don't like James Cook. And so I'm just going to go off of that, even though I think he's an efficient runner. I mean, you've got a potentially ground game narrative with the weather in this one, but I just don't like James Cook. I'm just going to go there and ride the narrative that they don't like him either.
Yep. They have roles in that running back room for Buffalo, and I think that's just how they did it. They always did it with Singletary and Moss. Like someone would have a good game from time to time, just popping off, getting touchdowns. Basically, it wasn't like anyone ever led that backfield. Same thing now. Like we all think James Cook is the quote unquote one, but Lat Murray's going to get his touches. They bring anybody else in. Like unfortunately with Damian, Damian Harris, like his injury, but yeah, like I don't mind this one at all. I think the game, it all makes perfect sense. So yep, love that pick as well. Let's dive into the wide receivers here. I'm going to kick things off. I have a couple, and I think you're going to let me have them both. And so I'm actually going to start with this one. And again, we're picking top 12, top 24 at the skill position. So it's top 24 here. We talked about this defense being super good. That they're great, and we have a backup quarterback throwing the ball. I am taking Michael Pittman. I just he might get the volume. He really might. He might get enough volume to be fantasy relevant this week. Just getting, 7, 8 catches for like 50 yards. Like it's not going to be pretty, but he might get double digits. I just don't think that he's going to be able to do a whole lot against Cleveland. Cleveland is going to lock down this Indy offense, and it's not going to be pretty. So sit me some Michael Pittman this week. Truly unfortunate because I own lots of Pittman, but I am going to have to sit him in some places.
Would have been my first one as well. Would not have let him get back to you. I think there's a crazy stat out there right now that through the first 6 weeks, the Browns have given up 54 first downs in all of their
Jeez.
first 6 games combined. It is incredible what this defense is doing. One of the best that we've seen in years. Just truly wild. So yeah, anybody against them, sit them, and they've got a guy who's ranked in the top 24. It's an auto lock sit at this point. Whenever you're shutting down, like we just talked about in the start show, whatever you're or at the beginning of this episode from last week, whenever you're shutting down San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, I don't think Gardner Minshew, who just got shut down last week for 4 picks, is going to do very well in this game either. So Michael Pittman would have been my one as well. And then I'm going to go to a guy that I have. Man, I'm between two. I love this one player so much, but I hate the matchup and I hate the game because it is one of those weather games that I was talking about beforehand.
Who you
Yep, I'm gonna
thinking
do it. I'm gonna
of?
go with I'm gonna go with Zay Flowers. I hate it. He's been on my starts of the week so many times.
Woo-hoo.
He's been on my starts of the week so many times, but they're going up against a fantastic Detroit Lions defense, and I think they're going to key in on Zay Flowers as your number 2 right now. Seemingly is Nelson Aguilar. There's nothing else. They don't have any running backs either. You just key in on Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers. I think the Detroit Lions will put a game plan together to do that. And Zay Flowers has one of his first really, really dud weeks of the year. In a
Ooh-wee.
game with 20 plus mile an hour sustained winds and gusts as well. So that's
Yeah.
another factor to it.
Yeah, no, I do like that. I think that's an interesting pick. Interesting pick for you because you've been super high on Flowers. I do think he
Yep.
still gets the targets, but again, what's actually going to come of that might be a lot of passes around the line of scrimmage just to try to get him some catches, and it may not be super efficient or effective in the long run. So don't mind that pick at all. But you do let me have my other guy, and I thought you were going to go with this guy when you're talking about a player that you love, but a matchup you hate, and that is going to be Mike Evans against AJ
Oh,
Terrell and the Atlanta Falcons. I know you hate sitting. That's your guy. You got the jersey in the background. I love Mike Evans. I think he's a fine player, fine player. But AJ Terrell is a dude that can lock up anybody. And so I think AJ Terrell is going to take Mike Evans out of this game. This might actually be a good Chris Godwin game. So if you have some Godwin, like I don't mind that one at all. But I think Evans is going to be locked down, especially as a top 10 guy.
I do agree that Godwin's going to have a better game than Mike Evans. However, I will still never sit Mike Evans. So,
I know you just can't.
I mean, not that I would never. I'm still going to give
Right.
you all actual fantasy advice and everything, but
For sure.
it would take much more than AJ Terrell, that scrub, to he's very
Yo,
good.
let's clip it, YouTube short it, hit up AJ Terrell. He has got to see 5'7" Cody Smith roasting him on his corner.
6 foot on Tinder, bud. Let me get in my wide receiver 2 of the week before this guy dies on air. This one's a pretty easy one for me. If I'm going to go with Geno Smith and think that this is going to be a weather game that significantly dampers them, Tyler Lockett hasn't been good either. So I'm just going to play the matchup, play the game that it's both a negative game script for the both of them. Tyler Lockett being in the top 24 with Geno Smith. I'm playing the game here that it's going to be a bad game for them both if it's bad for one.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. You know, we've seen statistically as we've played this game and done this week in and week out that a lot of the times, you know, there's lots of correlation, right? Like if a quarterback's bad, wide receivers are going to be bad. Is usually what ends up happening, or you see bad matchups, bad weather games. Like these things do matter, and so when you're looking at your matchups in fantasy, you got to check those out because those types of things do matter. So I don't mind the Geno and Lockett stack. I do think that that's a smart one for the week here. I'm going to wrap us up here with tight end. And I'm struggling between two, and I think you're going to pick the other one. Honestly, I don't care.
Nope, I won't.
I don't. Oh, you're not going to?
You're never going to. No one's going to pick this guy. No.
Okay. All right. So I am going to go. You know, George Kittle has just been. I mean, to be honest with you, he's just been mid. Like he's just been mid. He had
he's god awful, or he spikes. That's George Kittle over the last 7 years, and people just don't understand it because they look at the end of season rankings and not the weekly results.
It feels like after getting only 2 targets, 1 reception, 1 yard last week for him, that he's going to just have a monster week against the Vikings. Like that's kind of how it feels. So I don't think I can take him. I just don't think I can. But I will take myself some Cole Kmet against the Las Vegas Raiders. And it has anything to do with the matchup. It has everything to do with the guy throwing him the football. I just don't think Tyler Badgett is going to be good enough to get Cole Kmet the ball. Who did I say? Cole?
You said Tyler,
Tyson, Mike Tyson, Badgett. I don't know. Like, you know, the Honey Badgett isn't gonna go out there and do anything for Chicago here. Yeah, I just got that one. And Cole Kmet's gonna have a clunker of a game this week.
That's fair, but Chase, we have to go to maybe one of the most hated picks probably that I will ever put out on this show. I don't like that I'm doing it.
I already know who it is.
I don't like that I'm doing it, but if I'm going to play the game and I'm going to tell you every single one of these players almost, I'm going to be talking to you about weather. I'm going to be talking to you about this weather and how it's going to affect over-unders and it's going to affect scoring at a large rate this week. Who could I be? I mean, I'm not going to pick Luke Musgrave. No. Thomas, no. Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts. Those two are both going to be top 12. They are each and every week. Your Cole Kmet, I could see it. Probably would have been my pick, but I like this one more. Kittle could spike on me. Don't like that. Darren Waller, nah. I mean, he's playing Washington. That's a very good defense. Dallas Goedert, yeah, he's kind of like George Kittle. But Sam Laporta.
I knew it.
But Sam Laporta? If not now, when? If not now, when? I've already done this on this show in the sits of the week. I think it was the 1 week I lost. But I'm going to do it again. Rolling the dice again with 2 guys that I like in Zay Flowers and Sam Laporta. And in a game where it's going to be difficult to throw the ball, if not now, when? And you know who is the first team defense in allowing points to the tight end position? The best defense against the tight ends is the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
You're going to give me both of those things. Sam Laporta in for a clunker of a week. Definitely don't sit him. You probably don't have better option. But for me, in this game, Sam Laporta is going to be the sit.
That's fine. I don't mind it. I think the matchup is key here. I don't think the weather is going to be as big of an impact on this game as we're anticipating for this one. And if it does, it's going to actually favor Laporta because it's going to be like that short intermediate passing game that he's going to be available in. But again, this is where that Baltimore defense, comes into play with against the tight end. If they can lock him up, it doesn't really matter. It's just you're going to find Amon-Ra underneath. Like that's what they're going to have to try and do. But yeah, so I don't mind that. I do think that it's possible. If not now, when? I like
Hate
that.
on me. Hate on me,
Hate on
tight
me.
end one in
Let's
Dynasty people. Hate on me.
comment down below. Just roast Cody. I just want to hear it. Just want to see it all. Do like the video and do let us know what your thoughts are on some of these starts and sits. If there's any sits out there you're thinking on, or if you have some start sit questions, hit us up. Let us know. We'll get back to you and make sure we get you some actionable advice for your games and your start sit decisions. Do subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton. We're almost to 500. We would love to get to 1,000 by the end of the season here. So let's get those subscribes in. And thank you so much for joining us here in the Fantasy Draft Room.